I love my dad, but it wasn't always easy. He was older than a lot of the other kids' dads. He had served in Vietnam, so he got a later start on life than some of the other dads that I knew. But because he was an Army vet, I was fascinated with anything and everything to do with him being a soldier. Like a lot of boys, I imagined my dad running through the jungle, firing his gun, and saving villagers. He was a hero to me. Most boys think of their dad as a hero, but we don't know the true pain and suffering that they've endured. We don't know how broken they truly are inside. One boy finds out the true pain behind his dad's war stories in Dog Tags by Mike Noland. Then, the more I read about Vietnam, the more I discovered how unpopular it was. I learned how much damage it did to not only the soldiers, but to the country. I knew that my dad hadn't waited to be drafted. He joined up right after high school. He wanted to serve his country like his dad did in World War II. Sometimes I would go up into the attic and look at his old Army stuff, and sometimes I would bring it down and ask him questions. He wasn't always willing to talk about it, but sometimes, once in a while, depending on his mood, he would tell some stories, and the stories he told were usually pretty funny. Like this one time, apparently his company wound up with a monkey that was missing its tail, and this monkey got into some beer and got drunk, and it started acting crazy. It started swinging from the rafters in the mess hall, and nobody could catch him. And then, it must have forgotten that it was missing its tail. And when it tried to swing by its tail, it went right into the floor. I guess some monkeys just can't hold their liquor. My dad and I both laughed about that one for a while. He never talked about the actual fighting, which I thought was strange. I asked Mom about it, and she said that he didn't want to relive the bad stuff. She told me that sometimes he'd have nightmares and he couldn't sleep during thunderstorms. He would usually just sit on the edge of his bed, smoking, until the thunder and the lightning stopped. I had no idea. He always seemed so calm but distant. Sometimes he would get that look in his eye, and you could tell that he was somewhere else. Somewhere far away. Dad was pretty handy around the house. He would never let Mom call anybody to fix things. He would always say, a man has to take care of his own house. He would let me watch and sometimes even help out while he was doing something. One day, Dad asked me to get some boxes from the attic. And while doing that, I knocked over some and some stuff fell out. But in the dim light, I saw something shiny, and it was his dog tags, but they looked pretty beaten up and had a nick taken out of it. I thought they were cool, so I put them on. And when I came downstairs and my dad saw what was around my neck, he said, "Why are you wearing those? You can't wear those!" Suddenly, he grabbed the dog tags and yanked them off my neck. "That's not some cheap crap from the mall. Men wore these. Soldiers in battle. Don't you ever do that again." Then, he took the dog tags, went into his room and slammed the door. I was stunned. I had never meant to upset him. I just wanted to wear them because they had been his. I told my mom what had happened, and she said, "Don't worry. He just gets upset sometimes." I felt awful. I never meant to upset him. A few days later, Dad came home from work and said, "Hey, Mark, come sit right next to me on the porch." I thought, oh man, now I'm gonna get it. I was looking down at the floor and waited for him to speak. Finally, he said, "First, I just want to apologize about the other day. You didn't mean to do anything wrong and I overreacted. I hadn't seen those dog tags in a long time. They don't hold a lot of good memories. I saw things during the war nobody should have to see. I was standing right next to a buddy when he got shot and died. We were mostly boys, fighting for our friends and families. Many of them never had a chance to get a job, get married, start a family." As he talked, he pulled something out of his pocket. And it were his dog tags. I can't change the bad things that happened in my life. And you won't be able to either. These dog tags represent a difficult time in my life, but it was still important. And I don't want you to ever know pain like this. And that's why you can never have these. He put them in his pocket and pulled out something else. "Give me your hand," he said. I put out my hand and he placed something in it. They were dog tags. Not his, but new, shiny dog tags. "These are for you. They come without pain and without suffering, but at some time, you will have some. But a man takes what's given to him, the good and the bad, and makes the best of it. I know I don't say it, but never doubt that I love you. Someday I'll be gone and I won't be able to help you when you ask for it. But by that point, I hope that I've gotten you ready and you won't need it." With that, he gave me a hug and walked into the house. I sat there, speechless. Then I finally looked at the dog tags and they were inscribed. As I read it, I started to cry. "To my son, be the man I know you can be. Love always,